Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari is almost 500 pages long, and you're about to learn the whole thing right now in 24 minutes. Let's do this. Part 1. The Cognitive Revolution. Chapter 1. An Animal of No Significance. Let's begin with the origins of Homo sapiens. For most of our history, we were just another species on Earth, living alongside other animals. In fact, as Harari points out, for nearly the entire history of our species, Homo sapiens was just another animal. We had no remarkable physical advantages, no sharp teeth, no strong claws, and we weren't particularly fast. Yet, our adaptability and resourcefulness set us apart. The cognitive revolution, which occurred around 70,000 years ago, marked a significant turning point. It allowed us to outthink and outmaneuver other species, leading to our eventual dominance. By leveraging our ability to adapt, innovate, and collaborate, we went from prey to predator, from insignificant creatures to planet shapers. The lessons from this chapter are deeply relevant today. We should embrace adaptability and creativity in problem solving, just as our ancestors did to survive. Collaboration and shared goals remain fundamental to achieving success. Reflecting on our shared origins can help us foster humility and interconnectedness with each other and the natural world. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Chapter 2. The Tree of Knowledge. The cognitive revolution didn't just elevate us, it completely redefined what it means to be human. Harari introduces the idea that language and shared myths were our greatest evolutionary leaps. As he says, the ability to create and believe in shared myths is the most unique characteristic of Homo sapiens. This innovation enabled humans to collaborate on a scale no other species can achieve. With language, we could discuss abstract concepts like religion, laws, and nations, things that exist only in our collective imagination. This ability to form shared beliefs laid the groundwork for civilizations, economies, and social systems. For us today, this chapter teaches the value of storytelling in fostering unity and building trust. Use stories to motivate collective action and achieve shared goals. Developing strong communication skills can help create meaningful connections with others, strengthening both personal and professional relationships. Chapter 3. A Day in the Life of Adam and Eve. In this chapter, Harari takes us back to the lives of our forager ancestors. These early humans lived flexible, adaptable lives, thriving by following the rhythms of nature. Harari even calls them the most knowledgeable and skillful people in history. Their diets were diverse, and they lived in egalitarian social structures, largely free from the hierarchies and stresses of later agricultural societies. Foragers' lives weren't perfect. They faced constant change and challenges, but their ability to adapt made them incredibly resilient. Their connection to nature and reliance on their environment also cultivated a deep knowledge of their surroundings. From this, we can learn to foster adaptability in our own lives, embrace change rather than resist it, and maintain a balanced and diverse diet for overall well-being. Finally, reconnecting with nature can enhance mindfulness and resilience, qualities that are as vital now as they were for our ancestors. Chapter 4. The Flood. This chapter shifts focus to one of the less flattering aspects of early human history, the environmental impact of Homo sapiens. Wherever humans went, Harari notes, ecological havoc followed. As we migrated across the globe, we hunted large animals to extinction and drastically altered ecosystems. These megafauna extinctions, such as woolly mammoths and giant ground sloths, marked one of the earliest waves of ecological destruction caused by humans. While these actions demonstrated our ingenuity and dominance, they also highlighted a destructive streak that continues to this day. The takeaway is clear. We must recognize the impact of human activity on the environment and take responsibility for our actions. Promoting sustainable practices and supporting conservation efforts can help mitigate the damage. Protecting biodiversity is not just about saving other species, it's about preserving the planet for future generations. Part 2. The Agricultural Revolution. Chapter 5. History's Biggest Fraud. Let's start by discussing the agricultural revolution, which Harari provocatively calls history's biggest fraud. Why such strong words? Agriculture on the surface seems like a leap forward. It allowed us to settle down, produce surplus food, and grow populations. But as Harari explains, this shift came at a significant cost. Humans exchanged a more varied and free life for the monotonous drudgery of farming. Before farming, foragers enjoyed diverse diets, shorter workdays, and more leisure time. Agriculture, while increasing productivity, demanded back-breaking labor and introduced societal inequalities. It also brought new challenges like disease and malnutrition due to reliance on fewer crops. Harari challenges the idea of linear progress, suggesting that farming was a step backward for many individuals. This chapter reminds us to question assumptions about what progress truly means. Productivity and well-being must be balanced, and we should reflect on how modern systems affect our lives. Finally, consider the environmental consequences of large-scale practices, an issue that began with agriculture and continues today. Chapter 6. Building Pyramids. The agricultural revolution didn't just change how humans lived, it transformed how societies were structured. Farming required organization on a much larger scale, leading to the rise of hierarchies. Kings, priests, and elites sat at the top, while farmers and laborers supported them. Harari notes, large-scale human cooperation depends on myths that exist only in people's collective imagination. These myths, such as religious doctrines, national identities, or cultural traditions, justified inequality and allowed elites to consolidate power. This was the era of monumental projects like the pyramids, built through the coordinated effort of thousands, often at great human cost. As Harari puts it, the ability to weave myths allowed elites to control resources and maintain power. What can we learn from this? We should examine the stories and ideologies that shape our societies today, as they often serve those in power. Challenge myths that perpetuate inequality and injustice. Instead, strive for systems that promote inclusivity and fairness, both socially and organizationally. Chapter 7. Memory Overload. As societies grew larger, they faced a new problem: how to manage the vast amounts of information needed to govern and organize. Oral traditions were no longer sufficient. Harari explains, the invention of writing was not the result of a single eureka moment, but a gradual evolution. Writing allowed information to be stored outside of human memory, enabling the rise of bureaucracies, laws, and long-term planning. This innovation was transformative. It freed civilizations from the limitations of memory and made complex systems possible. Writing became a cornerstone of enduring societies, allowing for record-keeping, taxation, and governance to operate on an unprecedented scale. The takeaway here is the importance of systems for managing information. Whether in our personal lives or organizations, tools like documentation and technology help us make better decisions. Value innovation as a way to overcome human limitations and ensure your ideas and plans are structured for long-term impact. Chapter 8. There is no justice in history. This chapter addresses one of the hardest truths in human history: the entrenchment of inequality. As societies grew, so did hierarchies, often justified by cultural and religious ideologies. Harari bluntly states, history is what happened to the few and ignored the many. He adds, inequality is not the result of necessity, but of human imagination. These hierarchies were not inevitable. They were choices shaped by human beliefs. Yet they became so ingrained that inequality appeared natural, justified by myths and traditions. Harari urges us to see these systems for what they are: human constructs, not biological necessities. What can we take from this? First, recognize the systemic inequities still present today and strive to address them. Challenge ideologies that perpetuate injustice, whether through policy, culture, or individual action. Above all, advocate for fairness and equality, using history as a guide to understand where we've been and how we can do better. Part 3. The Unification of Humankind. Chapter 9. The Arrow of History. Let's begin with the overarching trend of human history: unification. Harari argues that, over time, human societies tend to unify, driven by commerce, empires, and universal ideologies. He encapsulates this idea when he says, "The history of the world is the story of the unification of humankind." Trade networks, for example, created bridges between previously isolated cultures, and empires expanded these connections by bringing diverse populations under a single rule. While unification has often led to conflict and conquest, it has also facilitated cultural exchange and collaboration. The rise of globalization is the most recent phase of this process, as economies and societies become more interconnected than ever before. This chapter challenges us to see both the opportunities and the tensions in this global integration. For today's world, this means embracing diversity and interconnectedness. Support initiatives that promote cultural exchange and cooperation, whether through education, travel, or business. By learning from history, we can navigate the challenges of integration and foster more inclusive global systems. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Chapter 10. The Scent of Money. Next, we delve into one of the most unifying and transformative human inventions, money. Harari describes money as the most universal and most efficient system of mutual trust ever devised. It transcends cultural and political boundaries because its value is rooted in shared belief, not intrinsic worth. Gold, silver, or even paper notes have no inherent value. They work because people agree to trust them. This shared trust revolutionized trade and fueled economic growth, creating interconnected economies that span the globe. The invention of money allowed humans to exchange goods and services efficiently, even among strangers, fostering global commerce and cooperation. From this chapter, we learn to appreciate the importance of trust in financial systems. Developing financial literacy is key to understanding and leveraging opportunities in today's economy. Additionally, recognizing the social and psychological aspects of wealth and trade can help us navigate complex financial landscapes. Chapter 11. Imperial Visions. Now let's turn to the role of empires in shaping human history. For the last 2,500 years, empires have been a dominant political structure. Harari points out that empires have been the world's most common form of political organization, and notes how they often justified their existence through narratives of spreading culture and order. Empires were vast and diverse, unifying different populations under a single rule. While their methods were often brutal, they facilitated cultural exchange, technological advancement, and economic integration. Harari presents them as both drivers of progress and sources of oppression, highlighting the dual nature of their impact. This chapter teaches us to study the historical impact of power structures, advocate for equitable governance that protects cultural identities. In leadership and diplomacy, promote collaboration over domination to create systems that uplift rather than oppress. Chapter 12. The Law of Religion. Religion emerges as another powerful unifying force in human history. Harari defines it as a system of human norms and values that is founded on belief in a superhuman order. By creating shared moral frameworks, religions helped unify large populations and facilitated cooperation. However, religion has also been used to justify social hierarchies and conflict. Universal religions like Christianity and Islam played major roles in shaping societies by offering common values across vast regions. Their ability to create cohesion among millions demonstrates the immense social power of shared beliefs. Reflecting on this, we should recognize the role of shared values in building cohesive communities. Respect diverse belief systems while questioning dogmatic practices that may perpetuate inequality. Promote ethical frameworks rooted in universal principles of justice and empathy. Chapter 13. The Secret of Success. Harari explores what has made human societies successful over the long term. He argues that adaptability and innovation are key. The secret of success is the ability to create flexible and adaptable systems, he writes. Cultures that embrace change consistently outpace those that resist it. This adaptability underpins advancements in governance, technology, and social structures. Like biological evolution, cultural evolution favors those who adjust to shifting circumstances. Harari emphasizes that flexibility is not just about survival, it's about thriving in a rapidly changing world. The lesson here is clear: foster a mindset that embraces change and innovation. Build systems, whether in business or personal life, that can adapt to new challenges. Encourage continuous learning and open-mindedness as essential tools for navigating an uncertain future. Part 4. The Scientific Revolution. Chapter 14. The Discovery of Ignorance. Let's start by diving into the central idea of the scientific revolution, the acknowledgement of ignorance. This revolution was sparked not by answers, but by the realization that there were questions we didn't even know how to ask. Harari describes this pivotal shift with the phrase, "The discovery of ignorance was the starting point of the scientific revolution." Modern science, he adds, is built on the Latin term ignoramus, meaning we do not know. This mindset was revolutionary because it broke away from the traditional belief that all knowledge was already contained in ancient texts or divine revelations. By embracing uncertainty, humanity began to systematically explore and test ideas, unlocking extraordinary advancements in technology and understanding. This shift fundamentally changed how humans perceive and interact with the world, making curiosity and questioning central to progress. The lesson here is timeless. Cultivate curiosity in your own life by being willing to challenge assumptions. Value decision-making based on evidence and research rather than tradition or speculation. And most importantly, embrace learning as a lifelong journey, a process of constantly discovering what you don't yet know. Chapter 15. The Marriage of Science and Empire. Next, Harari explores the close relationship between science and empire. He notes, "Science and empire have been bedfellows for centuries, with empires providing resources and motivation for scientific advancement. This partnership was driven by a common goal, understanding and controlling the world. The desire to conquer the world also led to the desire to understand it," Harari writes. Empires like those of Britain and Spain invested heavily in scientific research, using discoveries to expand their power and influence. For instance, advancements in navigation and cartography directly enabled colonial expansion. This symbiotic relationship shaped the modern world, but also blurred the lines between exploration and exploitation. As we consider this history, it's crucial to recognize the ethical implications of scientific and technological progress. Advocate for research that prioritizes human welfare and sustainability rather than profit or dominance. Let history remind us that progress must be balanced with responsibility to ensure it serves humanity as a whole. Chapter 16. The Capitalist Creed. Let's now turn to capitalism, a system Harari calls the most successful economic and social system ever created. At its heart is trust. Trust in credit, in markets, and in the promise of future growth. Harari explains, "The trust in future growth drives the engine of capitalism. This belief has fueled innovation and transformed economies on a global scale. Capitalism enabled unprecedented technological and industrial advancements, tying progress to economic expansion." However, Harari doesn't shy away from critiquing its downsides. The system's focus on endless growth often comes at the cost of social equity and environmental health, raising questions about its long-term sustainability. From this, we can draw important lessons. Balance growth-focused strategies with considerations for equity and sustainability. Develop financial literacy to better understand and navigate economic systems, and advocate for policies that prioritize ethical and environmental concerns, ensuring capitalism evolves to meet the challenges of the future. Chapter 17. The Wheels of Industry. Let's discuss the Industrial Revolution, which Harari describes as the greatest transformation since the agricultural revolution. This era introduced machines and factories that reshaped how humans lived and worked. Machines and factories reshaped the way humans lived and worked, he explains, ushering in new technologies, urbanization, and economic structures. While industrialization brought prosperity and improved living standards for many, it also disrupted traditional ways of life. Families moved to cities, work became more regimented, and environmental degradation became a global issue. Harari highlights both the blessings and the challenges of this progress, urging us to consider its dual nature. The takeaways here are clear. Embrace innovation, but always consider its unintended consequences. Support sustainable practices in industrial and economic development to ensure progress doesn't harm future generations. And as technology continues to evolve, prepare yourself by fostering adaptability and resilience. Chapter 18. A permanent revolution. The modern age is defined by constant and often overwhelming change. Harari describes it simply: the only constant in the modern world is change. Whether it's technological advancements, societal shifts, or economic upheavals, we live in a world of perpetual transformation. Harari goes further to say, humanity has become trapped in an endless cycle of self-perpetuating revolutions. This chapter explores how the pace of change has brought remarkable progress, such as improved living standards and expanded opportunities, but also significant challenges. Long-standing traditions and systems struggle to keep up, leading to instability and uncertainty. Harari argues that thriving in this new age requires not resisting these changes, but learning to adapt to them. So how do we navigate this flux? First, develop resilience to cope with the rapid changes in technology and society. Lifelong learning is another key. Staying curious and open to acquiring new skills helps you remain relevant in a world that won't stop evolving. Finally, embrace adaptability as a skill. Just as our ancestors adapted to survive, we must be ready to face uncertain futures head-on. Chapter 19. And they lived happily ever after. With all the advancements in science, medicine, and technology, one might expect humanity to have finally unlocked the secret to happiness. And yet, as Harari points out, happiness depends more on the chemical balance in our brains than on external factors. This chapter reveals that despite solving massive challenges like disease, hunger, and violence, the pursuit of happiness remains elusive. Harari delves into why material improvements don't always lead to contentment. Our sense of happiness is deeply subjective, shaped by our expectations, inner states, and personal experiences. In fact, the pursuit of happiness is so ingrained in human culture that we continue to chase it, often without understanding it. What can we take from this? Focus on cultivating inner contentment rather than relying solely on external success. Simple practices like mindfulness and gratitude can enhance daily well-being. Additionally, explore how small lifestyle changes, such as spending more time with loved ones or engaging in fulfilling activities, can create lasting happiness. Happiness, it seems, is less about what we have and more about how we perceive and manage life. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Chapter 20. The End of Homo Sapiens. In this final chapter, Harari takes us into the future, where advances in biotechnology and artificial intelligence are challenging what it means to be human. He makes a striking prediction. In the 21st century, humans are likely to upgrade themselves into gods. Through genetic engineering, brain-computer interfaces, and AI, we may evolve into entirely new forms of existence, or even be replaced by artificial creations. Harari raises important ethical and existential questions. If algorithms guide our decisions or superhumans emerge, what happens to the rest of humanity? Will the values that have defined us for millennia, compassion, creativity, and curiosity, still matter? He cautions that these technologies could redefine life itself, urging us to reflect on the responsibilities that come with such power. As we approach this transformative era, there are actionable steps we can take. Stay informed about technological developments and their ethical implications. Engage in discussions about the future of humanity and what we value most as a species. And above all, reflect on the principles that define us, ensuring we remain grounded even as we explore unprecedented possibilities. Final reflections. Sapiens provides a sweeping narrative of humanity's past, present, and potential future. Harari's insights illuminate how shared beliefs, adaptability, and innovation have shaped human societies, from the cognitive revolution to the modern technological age. The book challenges us to reflect on the choices we've made as a species and to consider our role in shaping what comes next. The key takeaway: humanity's story isn't just about survival or dominance, it's about understanding who we are, where we've come from, and where we might be headed, whether it's through fostering adaptability, cultivating happiness, or navigating the ethical dilemmas of the future. Harari's lessons empower us to engage more thoughtfully with our world. As we move forward, let's take these lessons to heart and use them to create a future that reflects the best of who we are.